It's 4th and 2. We're at our own 43-yard line. What are we going to do? We're going to send for the Punt Team. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Punt Team, the Racing Post premier NFL betting show to give you all of your picks and predictions for this upcoming Week 7 slate. My name is Andrew Wilsher, and I'm joined, as always, by Luke Lindholm. Luke, how are you doing today?
Ooh, I'm doing great, Wilsh. I know we talked about it a bit last week, and we'll get into it, but my Patriots are rolling. Top of the AFC East to your demise, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a bitter pill to swallow. I feel like I'm living from 2005 to 2019 all over again. The Jets are bottom, the Patriots are top. Absolutely hate it.
Right? We see the Colts top of the AFC as well. The Steelers top of the AFC North. I had to double check the quarterbacks for each team today because it felt like Manning, Roethlisberger, and Brady were right back in it.
Yeah, no, big time. It's been a very interesting and a pretty unpredictable start to the NFL season so far. I mean, we saw the Eagles and the Bills lose again. So now the Super Bowl betting is broken wide open as a result. It's 7-1 the field, which, to be honest, after 6 weeks, I don't remember it being that wide open from a betting standpoint in a long, long time. So immediately I've got to ask you, Luke, who is your pick now to win the Super Bowl?
I mean, it felt like last week we were talking about the demise of the Chiefs, right? And now they're joint favorites with Buffalo. Patrick Mahomes and that defense, they'll be right in it again. I mean, I'd be remiss not to mention my Patriots right now at 35-1. I think that's absolutely horrid odds. I mean, the Steelers beat them earlier this season. I'm not sold in the Steelers team. They're sitting at 28-1. The Indianapolis Colts are sitting at 15-1. I know you're more of a Daniel Jones fan than me, but I'm still not sold on that price in Indy as well. So I have to mention my Patriots at 35-1, but the team I'm looking at right now are over in the NFC, and that's the Los Angeles Rams at 13-1. I mean, this Rams team, we've already seen it with Puka Nacua and Matthew Stafford. That combination is maybe the best in the NFL. You add in a running back room with Kyron Williams, Blake Corum starting to contribute too, and you really like what that offense is doing. But I've been even more impressed with the defense. They're giving up just 18.3 points per game. We'll talk a little more about that because they're that fun team we get in London this week. But I really just love everything that's going on in LA. And that NFC West is wide open with Seahawks have played well, but I'm not sold on them. 49ers I like coming into the season, but injuries have struck again in San Francisco. So, yeah, give me the Rams at 13-1 to win the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah, I like it. They've got a lot of momentum on their side there. And I think more importantly, they know how to get it done. Matthew Stafford, this Rams team, a lot of these core Rams players did win the Super Bowl not too long ago. So they've got a proven track record that they know how to get it done. For me, I'm looking a little bit further afield. And if you cast your mind back to our season preview, I told you then, do not bet on the Baltimore Ravens yet. They have a horrible opening schedule. Wait, bide your time. I know that the Lamar Jackson injury has sort of thrown things a bit into disarray. This team is now 1-5, but give me the Baltimore Ravens right now at 22-1. They get to go into their bye week now. They can start figuring things out. And you know John Harbaugh knows how to figure things out. And then after that bye, they should, emphasis on should have Lamar Jackson back. And if anyone knows how to get a team on a hefty run, it's Lamar. So I really like the Ravens at 22-1, but even bigger than that, which I had to double check this because I was astonished at how big it is. Lamar Jackson is available at 50-1 to be named MVP this season. I know that he's missed a few games, but surely that should boost his credentials if he can come back and take this Ravens team to the playoffs. The Ravens are 1-5 right now, and yet they're even money to make the playoffs. You have to assume that they would have to go 9-8 or 10-7 to make the playoffs. So if Lamar Jackson comes back and he takes his team on an 8-3 or a 9-2 run to make the playoffs, you have to have Lamar Jackson in that MVP conversation because it's proven that without Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens are not a good football team. But you inject him back in, if they do go on a mega run, and it's a big if, don't get me wrong, it's 50-1 for a reason, but when you consider that it's even money to make the playoffs or 50-1 to win MVP, I think that is an outrageous price. It's an absolute gift. So give me the Ravens at 22-1 to win the Super Bowl. But bigger than that, give me Lamar Jackson at 50-1 to be named MVP. Josh Allen isn't doing what many expected him to be doing. Patrick Mahomes has been lackluster. It's a weak MVP market at the moment. You know how much I've been gushing over Baker Mayfield. He should be the favorite. And in my mind, he is the MVP at this point in the season. But there's a long way to go Baker does have interceptions in him. Lamar Jackson is a proven MVP winner. 50-1 could be the steal of the season.
Yeah, and I mean Vegas sees him coming back that bye week. The look ahead line against Chicago in 2 weeks, the Ravens are favored by 6.5. So that's definitely Lamar included, and 50-1. Wow, yeah, add that to the portfolio of Baker at 33-1 from the start of the season, and think he'll be sitting pretty when it comes to the end of the year.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But then on the flip side, looking towards the bottom of the league, we saw the Titans fire Brian Callahan after another woeful Tennessee performance. So, the question now comes to Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I think it's fair to say that he has absolutely stunk the franchise out since coming in, the number one overall draft pick. Do you think that he can save his career now with Brian Callahan out the door, or is it going to be continued struggles for Cam Ward?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's way too early to say his career is in the dumpster fire right now. I mean, the Titans were terrible when he was drafted, right? You look at their against the spread run, I believe they're about 3-18, 3-19, dating back to last season. So we're talking historically bad from not just a performance on the field standpoint, but a performance in Vegas standpoint, which you don't often see. So I definitely think Cam Ward has time. I'll be interested to see who Tennessee brings in. I mean, the way Brian Flores has been coaching the Vikings defense up in Minnesota, he seems like a candidate. I don't know with his history in the NFL if that's an option. Definitely look at Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator up in Buffalo. And I know Cliff Kingsbury didn't do as well as in Arizona, but he's kind of revived his career as the OC in Washington with Jaden Daniels. So if I'm Tennessee, I'm definitely looking at these younger coaches that are working well with young quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels. Bring one of those guys in that has shown he can develop a QB, and Cam Ward will be just fine.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I don't know. I think the jury's still out. I mean, Ward has looked really bad, man. So it's
Mhm.
going to take a lot to turn him around. And I feel like, I mean, as a Jets fan, I've seen this franchise destroy quarterback after quarterback, and I really think that it is to so many players' detriment to be a rookie, brand new to the league, and you're playing on the worst team in the league.
Mhm.
It's asking so much of a kid to come in and turn an entire franchise's fortunes around. So I do fear for Cam Ward in that sense that the damage could already be done because he has looked really bad out there at times. But you never know. And to be fair, it could come years down the line. We've seen Sam Darnold have a resurgence. We've seen Geno Smith have a bit of a turnaround like
Baker
years.
right now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So it can happen, but yeah. As far as this season goes, I think Cam Ward really has his back up against the wall. And so diving into Sunday's slate, and we begin with the final London game of the 2025 season. It takes place at Wembley Stadium, and it is a battle of 4-2 teams as the LA Rams and Jacksonville Jaguars square off. It's actually Stan Kroenke versus Shad Khan rivalry weekend because Fulham are playing Arsenal on Saturday. But we're looking ahead to Sunday's game at Wembley, 2:30 start. Luke, what are your thoughts with this one?
So I admittedly I'm gonna miss waking up early, having breakfast, watching some football. But I guess all good things must come to an end. And at least we're kicking, or at least ending our time in London with a great matchup. This Rams team, I already talked about it. They're definitely my Super Bowl pick right now. Love them at 13-1. Although they're 4-2, they could easily be 6-0 right now. Obviously, they blew that lead to the Eagles a few weeks ago, then lost in overtime to a Mac Jones led 49ers on Thursday Night Football. So I really think this Rams team has all the tools to be perfect. They just have to learn to finish games, really. And the big news coming out of last week for LA was Puka Nacua suffering that ankle injury that he exited the game in the second quarter. Luckily, he returned in the third quarter. I think he should be all good to play this week. He's obviously day to day. Sean McVay said Monday. So I expect him to suit up over in London. And the bigger thing for the Rams this year has been their defense. They're giving up just 18.3 points per game, which is third best in the NFL. They're also top 3 in red zone defense. So I absolutely love how they're playing right now. And on the flip side, I mean, the Jags team, after a big Monday Night Football win against the Chiefs, just came out flat last week at home against Seattle. We've talked about it on this show, but the big theme for Jacksonville this season has been turnovers. They didn't get any last week, to my demise with Sam Darnold throwing an interception, but we saw how that ended up. Jacksonville produced just 12 points. The offense was really stagnant. They did have 2 touchdown drives, but those 2 drives accounted for just over 54% of their total yards in the game. So outside of that, they really didn't do anything. When you look at the history and the trends, LA is 11-3 against the spread when playing AFC teams, and they've covered in 7 straight games against AFC opponents. A little tricky with this one being in London, so not exactly apples for apples, but I went to this trend last week as well. The favorite is now, after the Broncos won last week, 26-1 all time straight up at Wembley. So all signs from a trend standpoint, from the way the teams are playing on the field, point towards the Rams. I'll take Sean McVay in LA to win by more than a field goal. Give me the -3 this week.
Yep, I think I would probably agree with you taking Rams -3, but my best bet of this game actually is taking under 7.5 first quarter points at even money. So I'm gonna start off by saying that this bet is actually cashed in 5 of the 6 games this season for both teams. So that's 10 out of 12 games for these teams combined, an 83% hit rate. And I think that you have to be a bit concerned about the Rams starting a bit slow, because as a West Coast team, this kickoff will actually be at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, so there could be some adjustments there. I know that teams try to fly over early to combat that, but typically when West Coast teams come to London, they do have a tendency to start slow. In fact, I did a bit of research, and 4 of the last 5 games featuring West Coast teams did go under 7.5 first quarter points. So that's definitely something to bear in mind. But on top of that, much like what you had been explaining there, the Rams defense has been stepping up. You know, they've been they're ranked 7th against the pass in terms of yards per attempt, and also 7th in yards per carry, while the Jaguars defense has the most interceptions in the league. So I think this can be a low scoring game anyway, but ultimately getting the 7.5 is crucial here, because we could have a first quarter touchdown. Hell, we could see a nice long first quarter drive that does result in a score, but you need 2 scores here to break for the under not to cash. So I think getting even money here for the under 7.5 is a bit of a steal. So give me that as my best bet. And now moving on to our 6 p.m. game between the Eagles and Vikings. Also, just a reminder that you can find out our Thursday night football picks over on our YouTube Shorts page. So be sure to check that out for Steelers versus Bengals on Thursday night football. But now shifting gears to Eagles versus Vikings, kicking off at 6 p.m. This is an interesting one, Luke. The Eagles lost again last week on Thursday night football to the Giants, but the Vikings look like they should have JJ McCarthy back this week. Do you think that gives them an edge? And what are your thoughts on McCarthy so far?
I'm really not sold on McCarthy. I know they do get him back this week, and I view him as a slight upgrade over Wentz. But this game really feels like a grinded out kind of matchup, especially with JJ McCarthy coming back for the first time since we saw him earlier this season. The key here, Minnesota's defense. They've been elite against the pass this year. They're giving up just 157.6 yards through the air, which is second best in the NFL. Now they're going up against the Jalen Hurts offense that hasn't exactly been humming through the air. I do think he's going to struggle even more here. The big point where Minnesota does struggle is on the run defense, but Saquon Barkley has not looked the same this year. He's averaging just 3.4 yards per carry. This Eagles offense just looks in disarray right now, so I'm not sure how much we'll see from him in this one. The good thing for them is Jalen Hurts. I mean, not the good thing. The bad thing for them is Jalen Hurts also hasn't been great in bounce back spots. So this is his 22nd game following an Eagles loss, and they're just 7-14 against the spread in those bounce back situations. So this really feels like a turning point for the Eagles. They've dropped 2 in a row. They definitely couldn't afford to lose last week against a poor Giants team. Now they're going into Minnesota, where it's always tough to play up there. The fans will be rocking. I really just love the under here. Both teams are on extended rest. When both teams enter a game on extended rest, since 2018, the under has hit 61% of the time. When that situation is a day game, that jumps up to 71% of the time. So trends point under. I think McCarthy will struggle in his first start back. I have no confidence in this Eagles defense. I'm going to take the under 43.5 at 10-11 in this one.
Yeah, no, I think you make a lot of good points there. Personally, I'm actually going to shift over and take the Eagles -2 at 10-11. I'm giving Philadelphia one more chance to prove to me that they are still a Super Bowl contender. First off, you need to consider the fact that they are coming into this one on extended rest after that Thursday night football disaster against the Giants last week. So you have to think that with 10 days preparation coming into this one, Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, all of them locker room leaders have to be focusing that squad and telling the guys, we need to go in there and we need to make a statement now. This is do or die for this team, especially when you factor in that the run game has particularly dropped off this season. Saquon Barkley has really struggled to get anything going, but I do feel like this could be a good spot for Philly purely because their backs are against the wall. Like, the Vikings defense ranks in the bottom 10 in yards per carry allowed, so I think that this could be a chance for Barkley to finally bounce back. And I touched on him before, but the jury really is still out on JJ McCarthy. He could be starting for the Vikings, but I really can't trust him until I see more from him. This Vikings team really comes into this one spluttering as well. They did just have a bye week, but they needed a last minute touchdown to beat the Browns in London, and then they lost to the Steelers over in Dublin. So this Vikings team hasn't looked too hot either. So both teams are really struggling, but the Eagles have the pedigree on their side, and I just can't trust JJ McCarthy until I see more from him. So give me the Eagles -2. And next on our docket is the huge NFC East matchup between the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys. This one has by far the highest total of the weekend, an astonishing 55 points on the over-under, which I think is pretty fair enough when you factor in the Cowboys being in constant shootouts while the Commanders have looked red hot on offense as well. So, Luke, what are your thoughts on this one?
I'm expecting fireworks in this one. I know the total says so itself. But this really should be a competitive matchup between two offenses that have played well all season. But the way I'm looking is for Washington to pick up the win on the road in a bounce back spot. So they had that brutal loss to the Chicago Bears this past week of Monday Night Football. But they've historically performed well in bounce back spots. Obviously, limited kind of sample size here with Jaden Daniels. But since he's been in the league, they've scored at least 18 points in every game following a loss, and they've actually covered the spread by an average of 11 points in those games. So all in all, I do like Washington in this spot. As I mentioned, the offense has been humming, and I can't picture how this Dallas defense is really going to slow them down because they haven't been able to slow anyone down this season. The one other area I would look if you're looking to get a player prop for this game is at the Cowboys' George Pickens. He's been on a tear, not just since CeeDee Lamb has gone down, kind of all season. He scored in 5 straight games, all at plus odds this year. So I definitely like Pickens to find the back of the end zone. But with a kind of back and forth affair, I know Dak Prescott, great quarterback. I'd rather have Jaden Daniels in this one. It feels like a pivotal moment for their season 2 after that loss to Chicago. They need a win here, not just because it's a divisional matchup, but also to stay right on Philly's heels with the way they're playing right now. We could see them drop another one in Minnesota. So I love Washington. Give me them, but I'm not going to touch the spread in this one. I'll take the money line at 4-5.
Yeah, and to be honest, I'm right there with you. I'm also going Commanders to win this one at 4-5 as my best bet. And I think you make a good point there. The NFC East is there for the taking with how the Eagles have looked so far this season. The Commanders there at 3-3, Cowboys at 2-3-1. Heck, even the Giants could fight their way back into contention in this division, the way that Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo have looked. So it's certainly shaping up to be an interesting division, and this could be a pivotal matchup for both teams. But I just can't look past the Commanders when Jaden Daniels is under center. He just continues to look so composed. I know that he threw that interception against the Bears on Monday night, but I was still very impressed with his performance and his demeanor throughout that game, and I just don't see how this Cowboys defense will be able to stop them. They've allowed by far the most passing yards in the NFL. They've allowed 15 touchdown passes to just 2 interceptions. So I think Jaden Daniels is tailor-made to exploit this Dallas defense. While I do have a lot of respect for the Dallas offense, and Dak has been flourishing, particularly with George Pickens, I just really can't see them. I really can't see them keeping up with the Commanders. Like you say, I think there will be fireworks in this one, but I think Washington just has the edge to outscore them by that little bit. So, give me Washington on the road in this one at 4-5. Closing out our Sunday slate, we have a great Sunday night football matchup between the Atlanta Falcons and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are slight favourites in this one, despite their ever-growing laundry list of injuries. Last week, we saw Fred Warner be the latest casualty on this 49ers team as they lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Luke, it seems to be every week that one or two key players for the 49ers goes down. So what are your thoughts on that, and how much will the Fred Warner injury impact this defense?
There's no way to tell how much it is going to impact it. I mean, I think it's going to be massive. He's only missed one game in his career before this, and he looked like a different player this year with Salah as a defensive coordinator in the way that defense was humming. So losing Bosa earlier this season was one thing, but to lose another leader like that, we even saw players like Juwan Jennings come out and say how it kind of felt like a stab to the heart, and he's an offense player. So when you look at what it's going to do to the morale of this defense, I don't think it can be understated. And although they were able to get through the first 6 weeks with injuries to Purdy, injuries to George Kittle, injury to Nick Bosa, now adding Warner to that mix, and Ayuk hasn't even played a game yet, I'm just not sure how much the San Fran team can last. And it looks like they've relied on McCaffrey a lot this season. I think they're just going to have to keep doing that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And to be honest, that's why I'm happy to take the Falcons to win this game straight up at 23-20. I'm very surprised that they are available at odds against. I would have this game closer to a pick'em because San Francisco just seems like it's slowly falling apart, and it is only a matter of time before these injuries really stack the deck against San Francisco. We saw it a bit against the Buccaneers last week, and I think that obviously, despite also playing in the same division, I think this Falcons team actually profiles quite similarly to the Buccaneers. So far, Atlanta is 3-2, but they've already posted eye-catching wins over the Bills, Commanders, and Vikings. I thought they looked awesome in that Buffalo victory, and it's really been their defense that has really stepped up. But not many people were talking about the Atlanta D coming into the season, but they've actually allowed the second fewest passing yards per attempt and the fewest passing yards overall this season. They've allowed just 782 passing yards in 5 games. That's an average of just 156.4 per game. So we could have Brock Purdy coming back for San Fran this week, but regardless of whether it's Mac Jones or Purdy, I really think that Atlanta won't have much issue keeping the 49ers offense in check. As far as the Atlanta offense goes, Michael Penix Jr. seems to be finding his feet a little bit more after a bit of a rough start to the season. But most importantly, Bijan Robinson really seems to be stepping into gear. He had that monster game against the Bills. And now with Fred Warner out for the 49ers, I really think Robinson is set to have a mega breakout game on Sunday Night Football. All things considered, I've got to go with the Falcons in this one at 23-20. What way are you looking?
Yeah, I lean Atlanta as well. I'm actually going to take them on the first half money line instead. They're coming off that big win against the Bills in prime time, and this is usually a tough spot for teams when they're coming off of big prime time wins. We just saw it with the Jaguars beating the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, then falling to Seattle. And since 2020, Atlanta is actually just 11-22-1 against the spread after a win, which is the worst in the NFL. I will say this feels like a different Atlanta team with the way Robinson and honestly the way Penix is throwing the ball. The offense looks completely changed. The defense historically, I feel like 5 years ago or so, was very strong, kind of lost their pass rush and has been weak the last few years. So I agree with you that that's been a bigger difference too. The defense has finally woken up. And we really can't kind of oversell, I'd say, the number of injuries the 49ers have had this year. The way I would look if you want to bet on San Francisco is look at Christian McCaffrey props. He's hauled in 46 receptions on 60 targets so far, which is absurd from a running back. It's second and third in the league, respectively. And he has at least 50 receiving yards and 6 receptions in all 6 games this year. So I would definitely look to continue betting McCaffrey props. And although this game feels like a tough spot for Atlanta after playing a Monday Night Football last week, I just expect them to come out flying. We talked about it, but the 49ers won't have Fred Warner. Bijan just torched the Bills without Milano last week. 238 total yards and a touchdown. It's exactly similar situation this week. And although Atlanta's been bad historically after a win, they've been great this season in the first half. They're 4-1 against the spread. I expect them to have another fast start this Sunday night. So yeah, give me the Falcons first half money line at even money.
Now it's time to look ahead to our big game treble. 3 picks from the 3 big televised games this Sunday. Luke, what's your first pick?
So I am actually starting in London, and I'm going with the Rams on the money line. So avoid the spread here, but again, I'm just not sold on this Jacksonville team when they can't force turnovers, and trends are in LA's favor. They are 11-3 against the spread in their last 14 games against the AFC and have covered in 7 straight matchups. And the favorite at Wembley all time is also 26-1. So give me the Rams money line to kick things off.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I like that a lot. Moving over to Eagles versus Vikings, and give me the Eagles to win that one straight up. The jury's still very much out on JJ McCarthy, who could be making a return under center for the Vikings, and I'm really not comfortable backing him in any situation based on what we've seen so far this season and coming back from an injury, not least against the Super Bowl champions. But then you look at the Eagles, and this is a real do or die situation for them. They lost last week on Thursday Night Football to the Giants, so they do come in with some extended rest in this one. The Vikings rank in the bottom 10 in yards per carry allowed, so this feels like a game where Barkley can really break out and reassert his dominance. So give me the Eagles to win that matchup. And then, Luke, bring it home with the Commanders versus Cowboys game.
Yep, the final bit, we're going to the NFC East, and we're adding the Commanders' money line. So we've talked about it. This feels like a pivotal point for Washington, especially after suffering a loss to Chicago last week. The Eagles have dropped 2 in a row. Washington can really put the pressure on Philadelphia with a win at Dallas, and especially I think the Eagles can lose up in Minnesota. So yeah, give me Commanders' money line and big offensive week coming from Jaden Daniels.
So you have it. We've got the Rams to win, the Eagles to win, and the Commanders to win. And 9-2 odds, you can get that out for the Punt Team's big game treble. Moving on to the Punt Team player prop double, our best player prop bets for Sunday slate. And I'm going to kick things off by taking Bryce Young under 210 passing yards in the Panthers versus Jets game. No, this isn't biased because I am unfortunately a Jets fan, but I just really think that this line is absurdly high for Bryce Young. When you factor in that he's actually gone under this number in 5 of 6 games so far this season, and now he's going up against a Jets defense that, despite its issues, has actually allowed the 11th fewest passing yards in the entire NFL. They just shut down Bo Nix last week in London, so they're proving that they are still a capable unit, even if the offense can't get much done. And in fact, 3 of the last 5 QBs that the Jets have faced have actually failed to top this number, and that includes the likes of Josh Allen. So some decent QBs have been kept in check, while Bryce Young really hasn't improved as much as you would have hoped now that he's into year 3. He seems very reliant on short passes and is a bit of a throw and hope kind of QB still at this point. So I think that the Jets are going to make it really tough for him. And when you also factor in that Rico Dowdle has been lighting it up for the Panthers out of the backfield, so you can expect Carolina to try and lean on its run game, at least in the early going in this matchup. So yeah, give me Bryce Young under 210 passing yards. Luke, what are you looking at?
Yeah, Young's also been terrible on the road in his career, so I love that play. And I'm actually looking to fight against the hype train in New York, and I am taking Cam Scatterbo under 56.5 rushing yards. So I know it's been all praise for the Giants rookie so far against Scatterbo and Jackson Dart, but I think this is a perfect sell high spot. Now, the rookie running back, he is averaging 4.1 yards per carry, and he's surpassed 56.5 rushing yards in 4 of the Giants' 6 games this season. But this matchup against the Denver Broncos is just not for him. So first off, the game script of the game, I mean, Denver should be leading for most of this game. We see them as nearly touchdown favorites, which should force a pass-heavy game script, which would obviously limit Scatterbo's opportunities to carry the ball. And he's actually only recorded 20-plus carries once this season. So for 56.5 rushing yards, I'm going to need to see him averaging nearly 4 yards a carry with what his workload is looking like. I'm expecting him to come around 15 carries max. But when you look at the Broncos' rush defense, it's really tightened in recent weeks. So the first 3 games of the season, they allowed 98.3 rushing yards per game, which was a big problem. But since then, they've held top backs like Breece Hall of the Jets, Saquon Barkley of the Eagles, and Chase Brown of the Bengals to just 43 yards per game. I mean, even Hall last week, he totaled 59 yards, but he averaged 2.7 yards per carry. So he was getting the ball again and again and again. So the only way I can really see Scatterbo passing this line is if he sees 20-plus carries. And with the way the Broncos are playing, I expect Bo Nix to get him out to a lead. It should lead to lots of throwing for Jackson Dart. So give me Cam Scatterbo under 56.5 rushing yards.
So there you go. Cam Scatterbo under 56.5 rushing yards and Bryce Young under 210.5 passing yards. That comes in at 2.64 to 1 as our punt team player prop double. And now finally, it's time for the punt team's best bets of the entire Sunday slate. Luke and I give our top picks across all of the games on Sunday. Last week, we had a clean sweep. I rolled with the Cardinals plus 6.5. And despite Kyler Murray being ruled out, they managed to prevail in that one, covering the spread against the Colts, while Luke took the Patriots minus 3.5 against the Saints, and Drake May and co. duly obliged to send the Patriots to 4-2. So, Luke, looking ahead to this Sunday, we have a packed slate. What's your best bet of the day?
The best bet of the day, of course, everyone's looking forward to this game. It is the Panthers and Jets, and we are taking the Jets plus 2.5. So, yeah, our 0-6 New York Jets, they're definitely in a tough spot on paper, but teams historically in this spot have actually played really well. So teams that have started 0-6 or worse have actually gone 11-4 against the spread since 2020. The Jets also are coming off a terrible game where, sadly, Wilsh, you saw it with your own eyes. It was 82 total yards of offense, never entering the red zone. But this is honestly, it was historical with how rare that happens. In fact, they're only the fourth team in the last 20 years with fewer than 100 total yards in no red zone trips. But the caveat, the other three teams have won their next game. So, Wilsh, this seems like the perfect kind of bounce back for your Jets. And the key for me isn't going to be the offense. It's going to be this defense. When you look at Justin Fields' career, he's actually 0-26 when opponents score more than 20 points. But when his defense can help him out and hold teams to fewer than 20 points or fewer, he's 14-9. So just give him that defense to hold strong. I think they can this week against a Panthers team that they've played well at home, but Bryce Young is just 1-15 in his first 16 career road starts, and he's 0-10 against non-divisional opponents on the road, losing by an average of 14.5 points. I mean, a big problem for the Jets on offense this season has been the amount of pressure Fields has. I know he forces that a bit himself by leaving the pocket, but he's been sacked 19 times, which is second in the NFL. Only Cam Ward has been sacked more. But luckily for the Jets, Carolina has just 5 sacks over 6 games this season. So they really aren't getting after the quarterback. I think this is the time where Fields can settle in, get a home win for his Jets team, and not just win, but easily cover the plus 2.5. So I am taking the Jets plus 2.5. And to be honest, I'll probably be watching the other games this weekend because this isn't one I'm going to want to tune in. But give me the Jets to just cover, and for your sake, Will, hopefully win as well.
I think that we've got to be the only show in the entire world to be unanimous on both of our best bets being the Jets plus 2.5. I'm riding New York too this week, which seems absurd based on what we saw in London last Sunday. But I think this is a great spot for the Jets. You know, a lot of my handicapping is targeting buy low, sell high spots. And I think this is a perfect time to buy low on the Jets and to sell high on the Panthers. It worked last week with the Cardinals. I'm going right back to that well. Understandably, the Jets are 0-6. It has been a disastrous season, but 4 of those 6 losses have come within a score, so they do know how to hang around. And the defense did step up in a big way in that second half against the Broncos. You know, it kept them to just 3 points in those final 3 quarters. And you hit on something which I think is the X factor to this game. Justin Fields had 45 passing yards last week, and he was sacked 9 times by the Broncos. The Broncos have the most sacks in the entire NFL, and it's not even close. They have 30 sacks this season. The Seahawks are second with 20. They have 10 more sacks than the second place team. This pass rush is absolutely brutal, and Fields struggles massively against the pass rush. So the perfect remedy for that, face the Panthers. The Panthers have 5 sacks total this season. That is the league worst. So Justin Fields should hopefully be able to get a bit of time to get something going and to pick out some receivers and air the ball out. Will he go over 45 passing yards? I would certainly hope so, but I think that he can get into 200 passing yards and perhaps even higher. So this is a good spot for him. The defense, like I say, has been stepping up, and Bryce Young hasn't been doing a whole lot. So I think that he can be kept in check. We saw Bo Nix be drowned out completely there. So I think that Young could be in for a tough time. The Panthers have made an unlikely good start. They are 3-3. I'm not sure many people would have expected that at this point of the season, but it has mainly been in spite of Bryce Young instead of because of him. I don't really think that they deserve to be favourites on the road against anyone. So yeah, I can't believe I'm saying it, but give me the Jets plus 2.5 as my best bet of the week. And so that does it for this week. We've got another great week of NFL action. No doubt more unpredictable games and shocking score lines. Hopefully capped off with a huge Jets win over the Panthers to bring me back to sanity. But for now, I've been Andrew Wilsher. He's been Luke Lindholm. If you're ever in a 4th and 8 situation on your own 2-yard line, make sure that you send for the Punt Team. Thank you very much.